It's punched. We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Oh, my internet's doing the thing again. Am I going ding dong?
You are not. That? You're not going through a wormhole, as it stands.
You sure? I like that. I like that you say that. All right, I think the internet's back. This now StreamYards gives me a warning, like it shows me like I have like 1 bar, 2 bars.
Beware, you are malfunctioning, sir.
Exactly. So anyways, we are back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, it's doing it again. Oh, this is going to annoy me. I'm going to...
Do you want to restart?
No, I'm going to be 100% fixated. We're recording, so if I choose, I can edit this out, but I typically don't, audience, so I'm sorry. You have to go through this.
Well, sometimes he gets naked and walks around the room, so he has to edit that out.
Don't tell people my business. Actually, never mind. That's a sidebar for the After Dark program.
Sorry.
We'll talk.
I'm on the wrong show.
But I recommend highly to everyone in the audience at some point to walk around freely in the nude. It's fun. It's actually kind of a nice feeling. It's like but not in front of people, like in private.
It's liberating.
It's liberating. That's the right word. Thank you. It's liberating. Unlike this episode of Star Trek, the original series, which I found to be very oppressive. It is. Yeah. That was a good segue, right? That was a great way to get out of that weird,
flawless,
that tangent.
Impeccable.
What is the episode summary for this episode? What do you think? If you had to sum it up in
I'm going to do an episode summary, but beforehand you have to indulge me, and I'm going to do a show and tell. Because I think you're going to be baffled. All right? I hold here in my hands, and on this page there's nothing, but it is the scrapbook of very young, as you know, Baby on the Tube.
Oh, wow.
And among all of the completely useless garbage that babies do with like their hands and their fingers, one of the paintings has been done with marble. Well, a marble that they roll around. And it would seem like cream from a razor or some shit. And it is the most amazing original series planet I have ever seen. I don't know if you can see that.
No, 100%. That's beautiful.
What the fuck?
Baby on the Tube made that?
Yes.
How? What?
I know, I'm baffled. That could legit go in an episode of the original series, right?
Well, it's just beautiful.
That's mind-blowing.
It's very nice. I feel like you should frame that one. That's a framer.
Yeah, I think this is the framer. The rest is, just kind of like, we'll keep it and then we'll show it later.
And you could be like, that's the one that hangs on the one you're like, you made a beautiful painting before you could...
before you draw stick people, you actually painted quality things. No. I'm so mean. They're children, but that's so cool. So yes,
that does legit look like a planet. In fact, I think you should scan it, and we can maybe with the help of our designer friends, we can make a background that you could do for one of your videos.
Our goal from this point on, we need to scan this and make someone working on Star Trek put it in an episode.
There you go. That's our goal.
Mike McMahon, he would love this.
He might.
Mike McMahon would love this. We should try that. I'm excited now.
I have high hopes. Who could resist that painting of a planet? It's a really good painting. Like, I can't imagine someone's
quality painting.
It's true. It's true. Good job. Baby gets a bridge clap.
She might see this in like 25
For
years
audience,
and be like,
any new members of our audience that don't know, that's a bridge clap. Also, I'm back on my contact lenses, and what do you think? Is it weird? Do you miss the glasses?
I'm used to both now, so I don't. I'm not shocked by the transition.
Audience, let me know. What do you think? Is it weird to be back on? I'm looking at myself.
You're like a super spy.
I can change my look.
But yeah, you can go from like hair, no hair, glasses, no glasses, beard, no beard. You can like completely change your identity.
I'm a cameloid, or no, that would be what Ilea was, but I guess I'm a changeling.
Oh God, no. Okay, we need to get into this.
Are cameloids and changelings different, or was she a changeling and she didn't know it? Because you know how they send them out. in DS9 they say. Well, okay, sorry. Let's get back to.
I think changeling is a general term, the way we use humanoid, right?
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's
Do you think I guess what I meant to say.
And this deals with
real
neither
question,
a changeling, neither humanoid. This episode deals with a non-corporeal.
a non-corporeal being, which you just did a video on. We're getting super crazy here. Hold on. But one last question. What I really meant, my real question was, do you think that Iman's character, what was her name in
Star Trek?
Star Trek 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she was a founder? She must have been.
No. I don't think so. For multiple reasons, including the fact that, they hadn't invented the founders yet in Star Trek.
No, but I'm just saying you could retcon it that she's a.
Oh,
that's
you
what
could.
I
wouldn't want to go.
Would
that
you
route.
accept? Oh, that's
it's
actually
funny because
wow, you keep making me find my question because I keep asking it.
There's
wrong.
Odo. There's Odo in that
Odo,
movie.
yeah.
There's
Rene Auberjonois is in that movie. May he rest in peace. Wonderful Rene Auberjonois. Oh my god, I didn't put on my Star Trek shirt. Oh crap!
I put on this one.
Can you run the show? I won't even be able to hear you. Should I change?
See, I told you all he's getting naked.
All right, I'm gonna. It is happening.
You're gonna change while I do the episode summary. You're gonna leave me alone.
Oh, you know what I do have nearby? Hold on.
Oh god.
I can just put on a.
This is the shirt that I wore in my most successful video of all time, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let me see. And what was your most successful video? Remind me.
It's like something about Star Trek 4. Will it be cancelled?
Oh, interesting. I guess.
It was the crazy thing is that video was kind of a reply to Kit Wolski, and I didn't even know, and I'd never spoken to him.
I won't hear you. You could. I'll be right back.
Will he watch this conversation later on, and will he hear me later on? I wonder. No, he won't. He doesn't rewatch these things. Now he's wondering.
All right, you thought I was going to take my shirt off
I didn't
and then
make
put
fun
this
of
on.
you.
But if I wear this without an undershirt, this pinches me and it hurts.
Oh, you poor boy.
I feel so much more professional. I feel better now. Your captain is here. All right.
You feel okay. Here we go.
I feel legit. You put on this uniform. It gives it with absolute power comes great responsibility. All right, carry on. Number 1.
We're almost 8 minutes in, and we haven't yet done the episode summary. This is my fault. It's because I did the show and tell.
That was a good distraction, though. Come on, let's hear the summary. I'm very curious. I have notes.
Captain James T. Sometimes R. Kirk, my boy McCoy, and the Scottman Scotty, plus some random dude.
They go to a strip club planet.
Are all on basically they're on a free planet, a free-spirited, a free-minded, a planet a hedonistic planet. That's all about correct. That's all about love and feeling good and sensual things, and they're in a strip joint. No, not really, but they're in a club, and they're watching a lady dance, and we learn in this very few lines of backstory or dialogue to this episode that Scotty is now we can talk about that. Scotty resents woman for what has happened to him in the past. And so Kirk
he has a head injury, right? He's recovering from a head injury.
Yeah, Kirk wants to set him up basically. So he's asked the charming woman that's dancing to come and say hi, and she actually seems legit pretty interested in Scotty, and he's interested in her, and so they go off for a walk. A woman dies. She gets stabbed like 10 times or some shit. It's crazy, intense. Yeah. It's horrible, and thus begins kind of an investigation. Like kind of an investigation about what's going on, and so events occur that they have things happen that how should I say this? It precipitates the need to bring another crewman or another crew member from the Enterprise down to the surface. It so happens that it is also a young lady, and
They needed to use their technology because apparently, there's 2 ways the Argelians wanted to psycho-probe him with, this, kind of mystic person who was the wife of the main Argelian guy. and then
Yeah, well, there's a more scientific way to figure out
more
whether
scientific
Scotty
way.
actually murdered the woman that he was
It's called a
with
psycho
when she
tricorder.
died.
By the way,
Oh,
it's called a
sorry.
psycho tricorder.
So yeah, there's a more
Which I think is
scientific
great.
way, and there's a that doesn't sound scientific, and there's another kind of, how does he call it? How does Scotty call it?
I didn't write that line down, but it was like this mumbo jumbo. You're letting
Yeah, it's like mumbo jumbo or something. Anyway, he thinks it's magical, whatever.
Yeah,
So
whatever.
they want to use these two things. Anyway, second lady that comes down and she's alone with Scotty dies.
Meanwhile, Scotty, you already mentioned it, but I just want to emphasize: Scotty has no clue what's going on. He's
so yes, during these two events that happen, these two murders, Scotty is the only one basically in the presence with the victims. But then when he basically wakes up and he's like, I know what happened. And so at this point, they kind of initiate the mumbo jumbo thing where they have the lady, which is she the daughter or the wife or just a friend of like the leader of this district or something?
I only had a chance to watch this episode once, and it's so unclear, and I didn't do any research, unfortunately. So
Okay.
I thought she was his wife.
So the guy's the
I thought-
prefect.
Yeah, the prefect. So yeah, I thought that was the
suppose he's like
prefect's
prefect,
wife.
not of the
We can
planet.
look it
He's the
up.
prefect of like the district or the region, perhaps. Or maybe
Well,
the planet,
also
I
they
don't
get
know.
sectors wrong. They get quadrants wrong in this. We'll talk about it. There's
Oh,
some
no.
there's some interesting things, but yeah, I mean, I don't think
And-
they got the prefect thing wrong. I'm just saying they had a different idea of. It's unclear. There's a lot of there's lots of things that are unclear.
This poor lady dies as well. She is also murdered, and all three have been stabbed numerous times. And this time, Scotty doesn't completely lose his memory, doesn't completely forget what happened. He specifically remembers trying to go toward the lady, going toward the woman, but he doesn't. He's unable to do so because something's blocking him. Something, as he puts it. And so that's kind of the mystery, the murder mystery, almost a whodunit kind of part of the episode. And then it has this hard cut where it becomes kind of a trial episode where all of a sudden they're using all of the characters,
And I did
characters.
read one bit of trivia that was the longest on-screen trial sequence in Star Trek so far. It's like 15 minutes, the trial.
I feel like Measure of a Man is longer though, isn't it?
The trivia I read said that this was I can't imagine it was so old that it was before. I'll look it up again.
Well, now there's
Anyway.
Veritas, which is a 23-minute episode
Oh yeah, that might have
of Lower
been it.
Decks, which is probably
Good job,
longer
Toddy.
now.
That's the keeper
Boom.
of the continuity.
But that's not a trial though. It's a trial episode, but it's not a
It's
trial.
not actually technically a trial. Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way. Anyway, so now we
carry
cut
on.
to the second part of the episode, which is basically a trial where all of the characters that we've seen pop up throughout the episode, including the, I suppose, fiance of the first victim. There's the father of the first victim, who was a musician in the club that we talked about in the beginning. There's also the oh god, I just said his name. The district guy. Oh god damn it.
I was trying to unmute myself. The prefect.
The prefect. There's the prefect, and we also have basically the cop. There's like a police officer, or maybe.
You're talking about Hingis, right?
Yeah.
All right.
He's,
Can I
he's
just
an
tell you his
investigator.
trivia? Did you know who Hingis? Could you recognize his voice?
His voice did remind me of, but anyway, he's
You
the one
couldn't
that did
place
the,
it, but you could
No.
tell you heard that voice a bunch of times.
Because
That's
sometimes it gets high pitched, and so that's what I.
yeah. The actor whose name is let me really quickly pull it up. John Fiedler. That's Piglet's voice from the Winnie the Pooh cartoons.
Oh really?
Yes, that's Piglet. So
That's amazing.
and he might have done others, but he's definitely Piglet. So
Oh, he's like so lovable as Piglet, and in this episode they make him
he's
so
like-
terrible.
He's so
He's
terrible.
just dreadful, which is part of the oppressing feeling of the episode. By the
Yeah,
way,
there's
he,
like
he
a-
contributes to
yeah.
that a lot. Anyway, the whole trial thing goes over all of these things. They try to figure out who did it, and Kirk is pretty adamant about. I suppose he's kind of on the side of Scotty. He believes that Scotty did not do these things, or at least he didn't do them in his right mind. He is willing to admit that Scotty is perhaps either sick or either going through something, traumatic or whatever, and that might be leading him to do these murders. But he's he doesn't believe that his friend would just straight up do this.
Right.
And then I suppose big spoilers for the whole episode is they then conclude that the person or the entity that has been doing all of these murders has been the one known as Jack the Ripper. And Jack the Ripper.
What was he called before? It was
Red Jack.
Right, which is like a weird Jack the Ripper kind of like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd never heard that before this. I don't know if it's.
I thought of Red Rum, but you know.
Yeah, that's the only I think
thing,
maybe that's where they jacked it from. Lol.
Right. Well, no. You mean it would be the other way around because I feel like. Did the Kubrick film come out before? No, it came out.
Red Rum is just murder written.
Oh right,
the other way around.
The book Stephen King. So I don't think, if anything, he was subconsciously inspired maybe by this. I don't know.
Perhaps. Anyway,
it's possible.
It's Jack the Ripper, and basically it's explained and extrapolated through, I suppose, methodical and a very scientific research. Throughout this trial, that is not really a trial. It's just people saying whatever the hell they think. But it's an alien
weird.
trial.
It was a weird trial.
Okay.
It's a strange trial.
Well, it's not alien. It's kind of anyway. Whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, they figure out that Jack the Ripper is in fact an entity that used to live on Earth for some reason. We don't know if it evolved or grew on Earth or it came to Earth. But whatever, it was on Earth. And when humans achieved space travel, it was able to basically go from planet to planet on different ships, and he has been basically physically manifesting himself or taking possessing people, and he's it's a guy that we don't like basically in this episode.
Right. But he seems to, I mean, like, guy, it's a very, it's a very interesting thing because there's
a lot of.
It could be supernatural. It could be supernatural if they had,
but it's not. They make a point of saying that it is scientifically accurate,
cool.
Because every time they explain something about said entity, Jack the Ripper, they make a point of saying, well, there is another creature that can thrive off love in the universe. And so this Jack the Ripper entity thrives off of fear and death, much like Stephen King's, It. And so the episode concludes with they're able to trap Jack the Ripper inside a body of a guy that we do not like. They inject him with they call it what are they, a tranquilizer? I don't think it's that. They say it's a laughing drug.
But tranquilizers could have that effect. I think there's a famous tranquilizer called Quaaludes, which were abused heavily in the 80s. Did you see that movie, The Wolf of Speaking of Wolves, Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes.
That is a tranquilizer, so it has a medicinal use.
Yeah, God.
It's like, if I'm not mistaken, I don't do drugs. Well, I do some drugs.
That's
actually,
the movie that made
alcohol.
Me love Jonah Hill.
Yeah, it's great. I've never done Quaaludes.
I know it's Leo's movie, but
I've never done Quaaludes, but
you've never done the walk up the stairs. You've never done, or is it down? It's down the stairs. You've never done that?
No, but I've had experience with psychedelics, and apparently Quaaludes and other tranquilizers can have a psychotropic or psychedelic effect, even though their main purpose is to relax your muscles. So there's two levels going on, and so whatever Dr. McCoy happened to give everyone he had that same effect.
McCoy administers something that basically makes everyone happier. It doesn't make them calm. Well, it kind of makes them calm, I guess, but it relaxes everyone, I guess. They're not as tense, and they don't take situations as seriously.
Yeah, Sulu was great.
One of the transporter guy. He gets given the order to transport something, and he's like, Spock pushes him. He's like, I was gonna get around to it, Captain. Like, yeah. And anyway, and then
the ending is delightful because it proves once again that Spock is Captain Kirk's true love.
Oh yes, of course.
It does.
I have many thoughts about the ending, which is a different. I have thoughts about a different thing. They beam body with Jack the Ripper in it into space, but they don't beam just the body into space. They dissipate it into millions of particles.
Poor Hingis, like. Was he alive? Was he dead? No one cares.
So I think. Okay, can we get into this?
Yeah, I think you did. Sorry, Good job on the
we
summary.
have to talk about this.
Good job on the summary.
I think he was dead.
All along, right? Like,
no, I think he died.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jack the Ripper exited, like the way the entity Jack exited his body, it physically killed him. It was too much for him to handle. Like, I think that's what happened.
Okay.
So I think he died, but I think the entity was kind of puppeteering him in a horrible way, like when he went back in.
Oh, yeah, 100% that. Yeah,
I do think, however, that this dude had a family. And he was surely he even if he was maybe we don't even know what his real personality was because we've only seen him under the influence of Jack the Ripper. So maybe he was a nice guy, but regardless, it doesn't matter. Kirk took the decision to beam him into space and separate him into just billions. He's atomized.
Atomized, right? Yeah.
So no one will ever be able to recover the body, or he's from.
But
Rigel,
how do we know
what is it?
How do we even know that the transporter?
The customs of.
I guess it had no time to hop into another body. It needed the fear to get in. I don't know.
No, he didn't hop into another body because he was doped up on the drugs, basically. I think he was delirious.
When it's inhabiting you physically, it is also vulnerable to physical. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's cool.
Because he was still laughing, like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna kill you, but he was, you know what I mean? So I think that's what they were trying to do.
This is one of the few, by the way, I actually think I know why I didn't remember this episode. I think I blocked it out. It's so scary. For a kid
you think
mind.
It's scary?
Yeah, well, I am already very prone to, I don't like to watch films or anything that's like, too supernatural. That stuff freaks me out. Like the idea of like being possessed, or it's just too much for my my sensibilities. Yeah. It's like
I don't like the real
Poltergeist.
Things,
I can't
rather than
watch
the supernatural things.
Like the movie Poltergeist, it's so hard for me to watch that movie.
So if we were to talk about It's Part 1, the recent one that came out,
I've not even seen. I saw the one with. I've seen the TV
older
movie.
One.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was enough to want me to never. I can't watch it.
The thing that scares me the most in all of that movie is basically the abusive pedophile dad.
Oh yeah. I heard. In the story.
And the intense bullying. Not so much all of the supernatural stuff with because it doesn't exist, right? Whereas the abusive parents and the terrible people, they do exist, and so that scares me more.
Yeah, that affects me a totally different way. It doesn't freak me out. It makes me feel sad, which is a different feeling. But the supernatural stuff just freaks me out.
Thank you for teaching me feelings.
I'm just saying, for me, it makes me sad. It doesn't freak me out.
I understand. Anyway, I felt sad.
It would freak me out
for the family or for the loved ones of this person that has now been, I guess you can kind of justify why it had to be done and everything, but I feel like someone's gonna be pretty.
I think it's weird that these are air date order, and I think it's weird that the previous episode was another malevolent. These are both malevolent entities that kind of. That just kill for no apparent reason, almost for fun in a weird way, or
no, I don't think
they do feed off of the previous entity. What was it? The love? What you said? It was it. I mean, sorry. What did the? No, well,
that's what they mentioned. That's what they mentioned in the episode.
Yeah,
they talk about the. Well, they mentioned that there exists a creature in the universe that feeds off love.
Right, that one wasn't love; it was hemoglobin. But still, what I mean to say is that it's it was still an entity. It was like a non-corporeal quasi entity, and they had to defeat it with these extreme sort of measures. So it's weird that they were air date order like that. And by the way, we're back to director Joseph Pesney. I've been paying a lot of attention to these older directors because there's a lot of good freaky. Interesting stuff in these last two episodes, from a directorial perspective. They're both very interesting to me. You pointed out a lot of stuff from the previous episode.
This episode, I think that from the get-go they knew they were doing a Jack the Ripper
thing
story,
but it's weird.
Thematically they make it look like, is it Victorian England or is it?
No, that's what I was gonna say. It's a weird hodgepodge because
they have the mist going through the town. You know what I mean? It feels very.
It gave me the original vibe that I get from it is a more like Middle Ages than like kind of like Renaissance. Sorry, I should say it had a Renaissance vibe because everyone like I guess the belly dancers maybe made me feel that way, and then maybe like the clothing that they were wearing, like the Victorians wore more like suits.
No,
and like
that's because when Americans in the 1960s wanted to show something alien, they defaulted to exotic, and so they went to like kind of Arabic.
Yeah, it has that. The doors in his chamber. Yeah. It had that quality, like you could see
because they use a lot of like Moroccan carpets and that kind of stuff in their decor.
Yeah.
But what I was talking about is like outside tonally. Once you get outside,
well,
all
like
the mist
first
and
murder.
It's very dark. Yeah, and so I think but no, the directing was pretty good in this one. The only thing that I found truly cringe is when the entity Jack the Ripper started saying "Red Jack, Red Jack, Red Jack." I was like, "This is."
You didn't find it cringe that for his therapeutic shore leave they are taking him basically to a.
Oh, I have many comments about that. I don't think that's very befitting of Starfleet officers.
This is so weird. I was like, is this really happening?
First of all, I don't think that's a real medical condition. I don't think that because I don't know. Like, I think that's what happened to Scotty. Did he get dumped?
Something happened.
Has he been? Maybe he just got rejected too many times.
It's unclear, right? They don't really like go into it. But
is he an incel? What's going on?
What is Scott? I guarantee you Scotty's not an incel.
I don't think Scotty has. I don't think it's a real medical condition.
Let's not.
I don't think it's a real.
Let's not ever call Scotty an incel ever again.
No, I apologize, but I don't think he has a real medical condition here. I just think that
they mentioned he's recovering from a concussion, so I think he got his heart.
Different, though.
Is it that he? Okay, something happened.
Okay, he got his heart broken. He threw himself off a bridge. What's going on?
Or maybe the other person threw something at him and like gave him a concussion. And so he's like, I don't know.
Okay, let me rephrase this. Because heartbreak, I suppose, could be considered a true medical condition. No, but because, I mean, the sadness that it ensues, like the consequences that it has on your psyche,
it would be a psychological, which is why he was taking a therapy.
But I don't think the solution is to take your boy to a whorehouse.
Also, how boring is the patrol?
Well, it's not a whorehouse. She's just a dancer.
It was an exotic club. It's a stripper planet.
But they specifically chose
there were no sex workers. Although there might have been tons of sex workers there. They say,
maybe that's not even considered sex workers on that planet. It's an interesting concept of a planet.
It's a free planet.
It's pushed so far that they have to hire law enforcement from other planets.
Right.
That's really okay. I have a quick. Where's my notes?
Wow, we're
hit you with the notes.
We're really okay. Go. Notes it is. But just to cap on that beginning. Go ahead. Well, I just wanted to cap on the beginning and say that the Enterprise must be like having a really slow space time because, like, what Captain and Doctor go down to, like, okay, I can understand Scotty, you need to go to Ryza or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, Scotty, go to a pleasure planet. What was it? Howell's pleasure planet.
No, I would justify that by saying that they kind of killed two birds with one stone.
No, they all wanted to party. That's what it was.
But it was like, okay, we need shore leave. Also, we need to heal Scotty, I guess. So let's do both things at once.
The implication there is that the whole ship was on shore leave, but they weren't, right? Like it was just the three of them. Because it's like that's what I think Picard would do. I think that's what's different. Picard would have been like, well, Riker's having a bad time, so after
Riker's having a bad time.
Worf
is having a bad time.
You know what this episode is? You remember the episode where Riker was being accused of killing that woman's husband? Do you remember? This is what happens after. Picard's like, oh, I've got to take him to Ryza or Rigel or whatever, any new free cloud. I've got to take him so everyone gets a shore leave. That's what this
everyone gets a shore. You get a shore leave.
Sorry. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Okay, Kat, my note says interesting concept, hedonistic society, hiring outside law enforcement. All right, so I've been pretty spot on with my notes. And I said, did this begin before or after meeting alien species? So, did this society completely concentrate on becoming, loving and all about passionate after they actually met other species that can do the jobs that need to be done around the planet, or were they already like that before? Because they mentioned multiple times that they couldn't get things done on this planet if they didn't have like other people doing these things, right?
It sounds to me like it would have to have been after, because before,
I feel like, yeah. So once
right,
they meet
like,
other people, join the Federation, then they
like,
can become...
They get, yeah, because I guess this is like that
Y'all
weird...
got replicators now?
I guess this is that weird trade-off, because they also are explicit in the episode. The prefect mentions we're the only spaceport in the whole quadrant. And so obviously back then they didn't have the same idea of the quadrant that we do by TNG. Like by TNG, it was like well understood like what the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta quadrant are like. Because a quadrant...
Star Wars and Star Trek didn't know what quadrants or parsecs were.
Well, quadrants and sectors. So he's actually probably the spaceport in the sector, like by the TNG standards.
Perhaps, yeah.
That's what it would be. So that would be his... But like...
That is still huge.
That's
that
still a huge thing.
Multiple solar
sector,
systems, right?
Yeah, sure. I think so. I'm pretty sure a sector would have a ton of solar systems, because quadrants are huge. Like I forgot... kudos to Don Paris. He always does the math on these things. And so just to traverse at like warp 9 across like, from one end of the alpha quadrant to the beta quadrant.
I base myself on the voyage of Voyager.
Oh yeah, 70 years. There you go.
Voyager's half of the delta quadrant and basically half of the alpha, or something like that. If they were to go straight through the center of the galaxy, which you cannot, or you can, as proven by Star Trek 5, I don't know. And an episode of the animated series. Yeah, that's basically 75 years. And that's at warp 9, isn't it? Or something?
Was it? Were they always sustaining like high warp, like warp 9? I don't even know.
God knows.
I don't think they were. I don't know.
Well, you don't want to turn
on Starfleet Boy, but anyways,
you don't want to turn into a lizard in the meantime. But
no, it's true. Anyways, but you're right. So I would think that they got into this way after. It's very interesting because like
once you have other species doing other things for you, like it frees up time, right? I suppose
they have like a resource and they're trading that resource basically for protection, because a docile people like this, the Klingons would have taken them over, I imagine, long ago. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's kind of like Risa, maybe. What they're trading is the
when you're in the core,
touristic value of
it could
the
also
planet.
be a core world. Like it could be closer to the center of the Federation space, so maybe it's a lot safer. So you can be more free to explore, like like a different way of being or whatever.
This is the kind of planet that gets fucked up when the Federation falls. Like when the Federation falls, like these guys just get pillaged, ravaged.
Yeah.
This is the side of Star Trek that you don't want to know, because there's like
true.
so many women being kidnapped and people being kidnapped from this planet by savage species, like the Nausicans. When the Federation falls, dear God.
No, 100%.
And the Breen. I assume the Breen are terrible people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's these people would not. That's what I'm saying. Is someone's protecting them too. Someone's doing everything so they're free to live their lives as they choose to. It's very interesting. It's kind of like the other planet, the one, obviously again under protection.
Oh, are you talking about the Wesley planet?
Yeah, the Wesley planet.
The everyone in underwear planet.
Like how is that
the
planet?
The Borat planet.
Yeah, they needed a god robot thing in the sky to protect them. Like that's how that planet kept that way of life. Yeah, it functions or whatever. So maybe there is a robot in this.
You'd love one of those planets.
Who wouldn't? Who would not love one of those planets for a little while? I couldn't be there forever.
After a while.
Yeah. For a little while, it's fun, but I want to go.
Me, we need the space adventures.
Yeah, I need to go back into space. It's true.
We have to talk about Scotty. I'm sorry. We have to talk about him.
James Doohan.
I found him much too calm during the entire proceedings of this.
No, he was batshit crazy. You really read it that way? He was you're talking about the court scene.
Out.
Sorry, are you talking about the court scene?
All of it.
No, but remember, there's that one part after he kills his shipmate.
Well, he doesn't kill anyone.
Well, sorry, it's not him, but after he's forced to murder his shipmate, and he doesn't remember it because he was possessed. He's like, Captain, I don't even believe this is. He's yelling. He's like, Captain, I don't.
Do
even
you
believe
think he was possessed? Oh yeah, well that has to be it. He's possessed by the entity of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. Each time, yeah. I think Scotty did do it. At least Scotty did it the first time for sure.
And then the second time, you're right, but the third time he didn't black out
because Mr. Hingis was in the room and he killed her.
Yeah.
But
someone else was possessed.
Right, yeah. So every time he blacked out, he was possessed. So it was only twice. By the way, he talks about this. I read this in Relics. Like, he's like that we bowed on Argelia something. Or, like, he just drops mention of this. I have to watch it. I haven't watched it.
He casually drops the time he murdered people. But he makes
it seem like it wasn't this big deal. But I'd be traumatized. But at the same time, he doesn't remember. He actually wasn't there. Yeah.
I have to go back and watch Relics. If in Relics he mentions this episode specifically, but like it's no big deal, add to that the fact that he also talks about, he also mentions that Synthahol is new, he's never heard of it. And there's a whole thing about Kirk's death. I think he's
unaware of Kirk's death.
Yeah, so these three things...
Or he never mentions. I don't think they address Kirk's death. Okay. It's safe to say he could have still.
I think we're well on our way to canonizing the fact that he was full blown senile at that point.
No. I can't believe you said that. You're banned. You're banned from this show. You can never come out. No, Scotty was. Oh my god. That's horrible because James Doohan has had dementia. He died of Alzheimer's. Yes.
I didn't know that. I have mad respect for the guy.
Yes. I'm just saying.
On D-Day. That's dope.
No, I know. But it is funny, but it's also sad. That's all I guess I have to say. Scotty was not.
Well, it's not the fault of Relics or the fault of Scotty. It's the fault of, like, I suppose.
No, there's nothing.
Well, now there are new
nothing
things
that
coming
happens.
in. New elements coming in. That kind of. Well, there was never Synthahol before, and now Discovery has made Synthahol canonized Synthahol far back. So that is what makes
Discovery
Relics kind of make a mistake.
I see what you're saying, but Relics didn't make the mistake. Discovery made the mistake, but now
this is one of the things that I said when I was reviewing Discovery Season 1. I said the very horrible thing about every time someone makes a mistake in Discovery, technically speaking, the mistake is no longer on Discovery, it's on the show that came after. You know what I mean? It's on the show that chronologically is after. The mistakes are made there.
It's not a mistake, it's a continuity breach.
It's a discrepancy.
It's a discrepancy. So what happens is, I see what you're saying from a continuity perspective. Yes. It hurts your brain because you're like, oh wait, I have to explain this now. I have to make a reason for it in my head because there's no explanation for it. So that can drive people who are continuity obsessed, such as you and I are, a little crazy at times. But I would say that the explanation that I would say that's the most reasonable that you could retcon or bring in would be that either Scotty just disacknowledged Synthahol. Like someone was like
that seems like a Scotty thing. Someone introduced it to him for the first time. He's like, what? And maybe he didn't even pay attention. Yeah. Someone's like, do you want Synthahol instead of real whiskey? Right? What? And he's like, yeah. Lassie.
I never want to hear that again, and I'm never going to mention it.
He didn't even. He just says, "I," and they're like, "Okay, screw it. We'll just give him the."
I wish we had one of our Scottish friends on here to do Scotty lines. I'm doing a terrible job at his accent,
we both are.
But still, they're very funny. I think that would be my likely explanation that makes me feel better about it here.
Okay.
And then that way Next Generation doesn't make a mistake, as you say.
Oh, Next Generation never makes mistakes. This is the second episode. Well, this is part of the 2 episodes in all of Star Trek where Scottish people are possessed by a ghost.
You're talking about the Howard episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, right?
The Howard episode.
Is it the Ronan episode, the one with the sex ghost?
Well, yes.
Sub Rosa, the famous.
Yes.
I lost my notes. Hold on.
It's not called Sub Rosa. It's called Sex Ghost.
Sex Ghost. That is such a good name for it too, by the way, because that's me. There's so much sex stuff in Star Trek. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's
so
funny.
much.
Oh my god.
I find this episode. I think the first half of this episode is better than the second half, personally. I think it works better. I think the intrigue and the whodunit aspect of it works much better than the second part. And also, big question: are you for or against, or do you like the fact that they canonized Jack the Ripper as an entity? Are you fine with that, or do you not like that?
I am fine with it from the perspective of Jack the Ripper is like one of those rare historical, like, real things that has become like a legend. Like, I'm surprised there's not more Jack the Ripper.
Babylon 5 did this.
Oh, really?
The same thing.
I haven't gotten to that episode yet.
Actually, I don't think it's exactly the same thing. I think Babylon 5, it is a physical being. I think in Babylon 5 it is a physical being, but he's just like, he can live on for millennia or whatever. But yeah, I think they did do it. Well, they at least did a Jack the Ripper episode.
Whoa, sorry. I kind of feel like I saw that episode, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, but I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Have you seen Babylon 5?
I've only seen season 1. So if it was a season 1 episode, I definitely saw it. But sometimes I watch it
think it's season 1,
late at night, and I start falling asleep. So I do admit I have to probably watch with more earnest. But I'm trying to catch up to Fathery. Shout out to Fathery and Text Trek. He's going to do the season 5.
So you're never going to watch Voyager? You're the only person on this planet that's going to see Prodigy before Voyager.
You know, I was originally gonna do Deep Space Nine discussions after after
Voyager ones, just
after the animated series. But I
love your order: Next Generation, Original Series, Animated Series, Voyager. Oh no, there's Discovery and Picard splashed into there, and Lower Decks.
But anyways, just to let you know, the reason I'm doing Voyager before Deep Space Nine is 2 reasons. One, Drunk Space Nine is covering Deep Space Nine, so that's fun, and I'm glad, and I go on those discussions from time to time. And the other reason is because I'm gonna get to talk about Voyager with you. You're gonna be the most expert person. I will
rewatch them.
Yes, you'll rewatch it, so you'll remember all these things.
Yes.
It'll be good. And it'll be great to see. That'll be like flipping the show. It'll be my version, your version of TNG on Starfleet Boy. You'll be the leader.
We've kind of already did that. Like, your show was Picard, my show was Lower Decks.
That's true. But I mean, this is like talking about the nostalgic ones.
I get to sit on that side of the screen.
Okay, hold on. You can do that now. Look.
All right, shut up. I'm the captain now.
This must be very disorienting for the audience.
It is.
All right, Captain.
It's even disorienting for me. I don't know what's going on.
I have very few notes, not as many as you. You obviously have way more notes than I do. But I wrote the calculate pi thing. What did you think of that solution? Because it was not only at first it possessed people, and then when it couldn't possess people, it actually possessed the Enterprise, which we haven't talked about.
That was a bit bizarre that it was able to possess the Enterprise.
Right, and it was...
It makes me believe that it's much more than, like... See, for a while, I even thought that it didn't even possess Scotty. It just straight up murdered the victims, like, because he talks about something was in my way, not someone.
That was the second time. I mean, the third time.
That was the third time.
But the other times, he just straight up doesn't have a memory of anything, like... He blanks out completely.
Maybe the being is able to murder without possessing someone, just physically manifesting itself, perhaps. in some way, or I don't know. I got no clue. He says something. He insists that it's something and not someone, and I'm like, but if it was someone, he would have said it's him. I felt him. I felt the bald man in front of me, right?
Well, maybe the entity has like again some kind of like semblance of a presence when it's outside of a host. Body.
It has metaphysical abilities.
Yes, perhaps that's good. I like that.
That's it.
Just leave it at that. That's good. Do we want to? Do we want to? Oh, let me see what. But yeah, so I thought that was. I actually thought it's
I think that the pi thing, it is very overused nowadays. I think that kind of thing, like overload the AI with like some sort of computation that never ends. But in the 60s, I don't think it was overdone. But I don't feel like that specific task would overload the computer of the Enterprise.
Well, it doesn't overload your computer now, so do you know, it's like now. If
I've never tried. I've never set like an automatic program, but
I mean, the understanding of computers back then was way different than it is today. Computers haven't changed on a fundamental level, but from like a understanding of like processing abilities, computers are way different.
Perhaps it was it didn't overload the computer, but it was distracting to the entity embodying the computer.
Oh, because again, if it does join with whatever it's possessing, it takes on the characteristics of that thing. So it was like,
it was trying to concentrate on making everyone scared, but he was also, or it was, they were dealing with.
It had to be the computer as well at the same time.
Yeah.
That's great. You just answered that one. Yeah. That was a good one. That's a good one. I
Come on, hit us with more notes.
I accept your thing.
I have a note. I liked that Bones I think it's a very real, and like they didn't have to add this detail, but I felt like it's a very Doctor thing to do, that Bones kind of went, hold up, what do you want to give Scotty? When they were going to give him the drink. Someone, I think it's the prefect, he brings up a drink that he wants to give Scotty so that Scotty can like feel better. And I felt
it's like a medicinal. He says, yeah, exactly.
But it's like, a natural thing that I think doctors would, because I wouldn't think of checking the drink, but I'm not. I'm not a doctor.
Me neither. I'm so thirsty. I'm like, give me that drink.
Give me that Tranya.
Give me that Tranya.
But I think someone in like that's used to.
It's very. Like you're saying it's a very good like a little moment.
I think it was a detail that was good. Yeah.
A detail that I took note of that detail as well. So I agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Overall, I think for me,
you had another note? I interrupted.
Oh yeah, the last note was
just given up on the notes.
The last note was Kirk gives up the opportunity to go down to the sex planet and have fun for Spock because Spock disapproved. He's like, he totally considered Spock. He was like, the heck with it.
Well, you know what it feels like? It feels like the dude has he has a group of friends, but one of them is his best friend. And it's like, he's fine with going down with everyone, but if his best friend doesn't go down, then he's not going to go with just the others, right? That's kind of like...
So he won't go if McCoy... He didn't want to go alone, and Spock was the only
He would have gone if they weren't on the funny drug, because he was down there originally. You can't tell me the first time he was down there was for official business. They were trying to heal...
I think they were trying to keep Scotty out of trouble. Maybe that was the only non-cringe thing that made sense, because if he was just recovering from a concussion and he was kind of loopy, I mean, everyone was enjoying the dance, but he was really enjoying the dance. I mean, he was like,
oh, that might explain his disrespect for the planet's customs.
Right. So I felt like, yeah.
No, Scotty, you have to turn the lights on and off,
and that's when he says the line.
Ain't nobody gonna tell me how to clap.
He's like, what does he exactly say? He's like, you don't have to tell an Aberdeen pub crawler how to applaud how to applaud Captain.
Yeah, it's like, yo,
it's like, I wanted to be in that moment. I was like, I want to go to Aberdeen right now
and
go
blink
to clubs.
The lights.
I wonder if they blink the lights in Aberdeen to honor Scotty. That would be a really cool. That would be a really cool thing. I also was like thinking, we know where all these characters are from. Each one of them should have a statue in their town.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Every single character on Spock would be tough.
Oh,
Cause,
and then we could be later on in our lives we could be the statue crawlers. And we could put every
you could
statue.
hop from statue to statue. All there is right now is
Very expensive.
there's a Captain Kirk and a Captain Janeway, and that's it. I think we don't have a Captain Cisco. We need to move fast on the now that this is a we do.
We need to get cracking on this.
I say a lot of places, especially towns that have had their Civil War monuments destroyed or their like old monuments destroyed. This is a great opportunity is to replace them with positive.
We're pulling down slave traders.
Yeah, and replace them.
Replace them with like pikes and Ciscos.
Ciscos and like and
burn
Scotties
them, goddammit!
Yeah,
Anyone,
burn them.
just
Every single Star Trek person.
Boimless in every city.
There should be a.
There should be a huge. There should be a Miles O'Brien on the Irish flag.
I 100% agree. Why isn't this happening? This is the new movement. I think Starfleet Boys' new movement is to perpetuate the statue, replacing these awful statues with good statues from Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think it's a good
Absolutely.
idea. There you
Absolutely.
go. And if you if you really want to put up like a figure that's controversial, we could give you the rights to do a Star Trek could give you the rights to do I said we wow. Star Trek could give you the right.
You're part of it now.
No. Star Trek could give you the rights to put up a Badmiral in your city.
Oh, these are like the bad boy cities.
Yeah, like you could have a Badmiral.
What's a bad boy city?
Like, I don't know. I can't say anything because I want to be politically safe here. But I'll just say, outside of the United States, what would be
we could put a Jason Isaacs statue somewhere. You know,
Captain Lorca?
A Mirror Lorca somewhere.
One would assume that Prime Lorca was a great captain and a great guy.
Although I got to admit, having a Borg Queen statue somewhere would be awesome.
Silicon Valley.
Just the bust, it would be terrifying.
Silicon Valley. There you go.
Silicon Valley.
That's where the Borg are going to be born. All right, we've obviously run out of things.
I do have one thing to say.
All right, go ahead.
It's the same music as in The Cage.
It's actually, I know a little factoid for this too. It's the first episode where all the music is recycled. There's no original music.
And the second music that I was going to say is the music from Shore Leave.
Yes.
So it is
the last
Shore Leave.
music, the ending music too, the little da-na-na-na-na-na is also from that. No. Yeah, which episode was Finnegan? That's Shore Leave, right?
Yeah, Shore Leave. God, so they just
they had Finnegan's. Everything's in here.
I don't like Finnegan too much.
What's that?
I don't like Finnegan too much.
I like Finnegan. He's cool. Finn. I had
Funnigan.
A classmate. I can't say he was a friend because we weren't that close, but I had a classmate named Finn, and it was short for Finnegan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
No, you just think you're living in Star Wars.
No. Huck Finn, right? Isn't? No, that's different. That's Huck.
Well, that's
Finn.
Huckleberry Finn.
Huckleberry Finn, yeah. His last name's Finn, but there's people with first names Finn too. Before FN32, whatever he was.
I don't remember what he was. I just know it was Finn.
I like it when you talk about. I like it when you speak about Star Wars in the past because it is in the past. It took place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So that's the perfect tense. Whereas when you talk about Star Trek, you always should speak in the future tense because these people.
All of these things are documented events that have happened.
No, I'm just saying when you're speaking.
Even Star Trek.
When you're speaking,
we speak of these things as if we were historians.
It's true. That's true. But sometimes we're future historians figuring things out, like on Star Trek, and sometimes we're just telling you what happened.
We're all Agent Daniels.
I give this episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to point out there's
a
one note which is the most important note, and I found this very. I just think it's a funny thought, where Spock says, "We all feed on death, even vegetarians." And I think because
that was a good. Oh wow, you really.
It's good. It's a good line. We all feed on death.
Yeah, it's true.
Because technically you need to kill the plant or
Spock is
what
so
have
profound.
you.
I love Spock.
He is. He's deep. My boy Spock be deep.
What are you gonna do with Spock rap? You're not ready.
I can't live up to it. I
Your
can't
other
live
two
up to
raps are
the.
great so far, super successful, in my mind.
Okay. Well, maybe
Now
we can
take
try and
my.
do a.
I still remember. I'm gonna take my worth to the holodeck. We're
I
gonna
don't. I don't.
fight
Spock.
crime.
Spock is too prison in Star Trek. We don't want. I should do raps for like. Reno deserves a rap.
If you're willing to work with a producer, I'll help you produce the Spock rap.
Oh.
If you
Oh.
want to do your first, but I'm a hard producer.
Oh.
Just gotta
Oh
tell you.
dear. Well, I already have to live with you as captain. I don't know if I need the producer thing.
That's a good note. That was a good. There's so many things like that during that courtroom scene that were like interesting, but that was
Overall, though, did you think it was a good, like, fun episode, or like overall?
it's it's one of those episodes that even though I think I forgot it because I was traumatized when I was a kid, I don't think I would ever go back to this episode.
It doesn't
again.
exactly stand out, though, does
It's
it?
like, well, I mean, it has a lot of good elements, but overall, it just didn't come together for me as something that was like, other than again, I do love
Like Kirk and Spock do.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, exactly. So I actually give this episode a lower rating than the previous one, which I think I gave that one a 7 or something, right?
I
So
think
I'm gonna
so.
go. I might give this
I
episode
don't write down your ratings. I write down mine.
just
You
for
have to keep track of your own.
the thing I want to say in my closing statement before I do give my rating is like, one of the things that stood out for me, and the reason why I'm gonna give it a higher rating than the episode should get, is James Doohan, because I actually thought Scotty carried the episode. It was a really great, like, you know, he just really was very convincing as someone who was caught up in this situation that they had no idea. I mean, everything about it was convincing, and I really rooted for Scotty, and I didn't want him to be, I knew that something was up.
So you think
Like,
it's a successful Scotty episode?
I think it's a successful, like, I enjoy acting and I like to observe actors, so I'm gonna watch this episode just to see James Doohan do a stellar job at performing because he's great.
Okay.
He's like really awesome. For me, I liked his performance a lot in this episode. So that's why I'm going to give this episode probably like a 6.5, because otherwise I think it would be a 5.5.
Oh wow.
I know. I'm so disappointed.
Oh wow.
I like
I
to
mean,
give
that's it's half a Picard.
I like to give, maybe if Father was here, he could have swayed me a little differently. I don't know, because he really loves TOS. But this episode is not one I would like I would ever think to go back to and watch again.
No, but
Except
it's
for
not one that you would
reason.
recommend either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and the even though the beginning is kind of like the beginning is kind of awkward. Like if you were to tell someone, "Oh, go watch this episode," and like just that opening sequence with the whole idea of bringing your boy down to Strip Planet or whatever it is,
and that's the other
that
thing
might turn someone off.
I think maybe exotic in the 60s, this kind of exotic in the 60s was probably something that was like more interesting than it is today, but now it just seems like a bunch of weird stereotypes, and you know what I mean, like
That is a question that I have. Does it feel racist? Because it's one of
there's
those
no
things
race that it doesn't feel racist, but it does
when I
feel,
look at it, it feels culturally inappropriate.
oh, I see what you're saying.
For some reason. But then you can't pinpoint it. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm like, for some reason, I feel a little uneasy. And maybe, I don't know if it's because...
I don't know. I'm not.
I don't know.
I mean, like, okay. So the only thing I will say in its defense to that is that the belly dancing was very accurate, and
Okay.
it was done by, like, it was done. As far as I could tell, I'm not like a belly dancing expert, but as far as I could tell, like, it wasn't just like done in a way that like.
So the actor that they chose had been
probably
trained
was
in
trained
some way or form.
belly dance, but what I didn't mind that because Star Trek has done the thing about Star Trek is it kind of spreads the love when it does a planet that looks like a certain people's, like Star Trek has done it before, and sometimes it fails miserably, like the Code of Honor situation, right? In this case, it didn't fail because I think it was the backdrop and not the foreground. Like the foreground was the story.
Also,
Scott,
it was a blending of cultures as well.
And it was
like
a
they were
blending
taking
of
elements from
Victorian England, like as you said and pointed out, like it was a hodgepodge, exactly. So So that's why I guess it didn't feel cringe in that way. But it did feel cringe in just the way the overall premise of like going with your boys down to the club is cringy to me, even though I've been to strip clubs and things like that with the
It doesn't
boys.
feel very Starfleet. That's the
it
thing.
doesn't feel Starfleet.
If we were
yeah,
following
that's what it is.
civilians, maybe we would
It
have a
would be
different approach.
yeah, it would be
to
a different
this,
approach. Yeah, but we've seen a lot of things now that Starfleet officers don't do. You know, like there's yeah, there's so like I think this is a show that kind of, you know, because it's got so many things that society no longer deems like appropriate or perhaps easy to digest because we've kind of evolved, quote unquote, to a different level. It's now hard to see those things as they were probably meant to be seen, you know. But at the same time, I can still say that like that's, you know, cultural wise. Personally, I think
okay,
it doesn't like invade too badly into that.
The audiences in America, and as well as the people producing this show in America, were not as accustomed to like overseas customs and cultures and aesthetics. Right. So it maybe felt more alien, whereas now we're used to seeing all of these different elements.
Yeah, so it no longer has that effect. Like,
yeah,
okay, it no longer feels like a strange new world.
It doesn't feel like a strange new world. It kind of feels out of place somewhat. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's it.
Well, I give this episode a 6.
Ooh.
Which is
a little lower than what I gave it.
Yeah, six is pretty much a default rating that I give a lot of episodes. Like there are episodes that you know, they exist. They don't stand out in a terrible way, or they don't stand out in a good way. They don't define the show or the genre. But if you were to take them, like if you were to take all of these episodes that just exist out, then you would no longer have what Star Trek is, right? So this is one of those episodes where it's, to be honest, most Enterprise episodes are like what I just described.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's not. But yeah, as you said, there's a few performances. Annoying Man did a very good job because I hated him. He's very oppressing.
Totally. Piglet, shout out. Shout out to the actor.
Shout out to grown up Piglet.
Sorry, it was John Fiedler.
Okay, shout out to you, Fiedler.
This
Cook
was a
does
great discussion
job as well. Everyone does, actually.
Yeah, no, everyone's great in this. That's what I'm saying. From a performance, it's one of those. It's a winner from the performance side. It's kind of like falls flat, I think, just from holding it all together. Like there's individual nuggets for me. I don't know, but I really don't know why I wouldn't watch this episode again. It's just not interesting after you know the reveal and everything. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Let's move on.
Well, I think if they had held it as, so you're a fan of Knives Out. You like that movie. I
have not seen it, but I would be a fan of it. Yeah.
Why,
I use that meme a lot because in
my mind you're like, okay, well, whodunits.
Yes, good I do love
good or great whodunits. Even when you know the outcome, you
I could have been possessed when I saw Minds Out and I've forgotten. No, sorry, go
on. Ain't nobody possessed when they're watching Chris Evans.
You are possessed when you're watching him, but with some.
Oh, that's right.
It's like there's other. Wow.
Is this a bisexual ghost that floats into me? Is that what's going on?
Wow, we just. That just.
Okay.
That's the next Lower Decks, a bisexual ghost. That's like you get to explore every character on the ship as bisexual if a bisexual ghost is hopping from person to person. That's a great idea. You're welcome, Mike. You can take that, please.
Just take it
if you'd like to.
What was the other idea what was the?
You gave another one, right?
It was the Breen with the helmet off.
Yes. That you don't see.
But you never see his helmet. You never see his face because he's always behind something. People are always holding.
Starfleet boy, Mike McMahon's like, I have to block you now. I can't look at any of your content.
Because that's right. You're spoiling it. Like we're just gonna. Every time we say something, he's crossing off episodes off the list that he's already done. He's like, can't release that anymore.
I did do something bad because the internet warning thing came out again, so it's probably going dung dung dung. That's how you get censored today.
What was I saying?
You were saying.
I was saying whodunit. If they kept
Yes.
this episode to like a whodunit,
Uh-huh.
because some whodunit films, like the really good ones or the great ones, you can rewatch them even though you know, like the resolution, even though you know who did it.
You made me realize what it is. I'm going to put it right here. The ending just seems like so fast and convenient. Like it was just like one moment there's like they were nowhere near solving it, and then all of a sudden they're like they looked at their watches and they're like, "Oh, it's almost like 48 minutes. We have to finish this episode." So they like wrapped it up too quick for me. I thought it was just like I was like, "What? It's over. It's done. That's it. You just beam him out and it's atomize him into space, and that's it. It's over."
Well, it's because there's two stories. There's the first story, which is the mystery of what's happening to Scotty. Did Scotty do this? And then there's the other story, which is Jack the Ripper still exists and is still around and floating around. So maybe if they had either picked one or the other, and if they had given you like clues about Jack the Ripper from the get-go, maybe you would have had a different feeling about it.
Audience, I'd love to know if this episode, if you disagree with us, especially why this is like a better episode than what we
say, especially him. Do you disagree with that guy?
This guy over here. This guy. I can't point in the right direction. That guy. No, because I think I can't put my finger on it. It's a hard one. It's a tough one because again, I just love James Doohan in this episode. That's the strongest point in the episode.
Well, I think sometimes, sometimes we can dive into like criticism as much as we want. We can try to review things as much as we want, but sometimes things for some reason just didn't gel together. You know what I mean? Like sometimes everyone did the best that they had, but maybe the idea.
Sometimes, Mr. Crusher, you could do everything correctly and still get it wrong, or something like that. I forget the, and still fail, or something like that. And that's one.
Well,
of
it's not
cases.
a complete fail, though. Isn't it? It's not a failed episode. It's not an episode that you loathe or that you halfway through you weren't like, oh my god. Have there been awful episodes of the original series up until this point in your?
I don't think of this as an awful episode. I still gave it above a 5, but I'm just saying it's not like I had higher expectations for it. What's that?
Have there been? Awful
I don't know
episodes?
if I gave below a 5. I feel like I might have already, but I can't remember. What? Oh, you know what episode it might have been? The one with the giant cat. But even then, I love the giant cat. I can't remember the name at the moment. Starfleet Boy gets tired after 8 o'clock.
In my ratings, there's one episode that got a 4 out of 10. I'm trying to figure out which one it is. Oh, Mud's Woman.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember giving that lower than a 5, but we'll have to go back and look. This is why Starfleet Boy needs a database person. I'm like, speaking of database person, the very first database person was Gary. He was my first one, and you got a few things to promote. This week you did a live stream watch along of the Orville. Go check that out. Right? No?
Galaxy Quest.
I said the Orville. Oh jeez.
Everyone clicked away the moment you said the Orville. Now we've lost the audience.
It was Galaxy Quest.
God damn. I did a live watch with Gary of Galaxy Quest, a film that he has seen many more times than me, but that we both enjoy very much.
And I got the spoilers, just a part of it.
Spoilers, we rated it True Greatness. I was peer pressured into giving it True Greatness, but I don't regret it. It was good.
I had a few things to say about that because I didn't agree with your rating for Luca. And so now I wonder if I was on that stream, if I had been watching it with you, could I have peer pressured you into giving
Luca wasn't the stream, it was just
No, I know, but I'm saying had we done a watch along
I stand by Luca not being I think Luca is a mid-range Pixar film.
Wait, you said good. You gave it good.
I said good. Good is good.
What's another good Pixar film, just out of curiosity? Off the top of your head. Oh, really?
Brave? Onward?
I love that too.
I think Brave, Onward, and Luca are all in the same camp.
Interesting. Well, anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. But
I love how you're really thinking about this now. You're like, what?
I have to take your opinion seriously because you're my friend. So I have to weigh them against. I have to like think about it and go, am I wrong or is he wrong? I have
wanted me to promote things.
Yes.
I did a live watch of Galaxy Quest, and it was good timing because like a day before that they announced that there might be a Galaxy Quest show in the making. Or at least they might be closing in on finalizing.
And I came up with a great idea for the Galaxy. You have to go listen to Todd's stream and watch
the comments and the hosts pitched ideas for Galaxy Quest show.
At the end of the stream.
I also just released a species video on my channel called about the Medusans,
which was great. I watched that.
We're going to have it's short, sweet, because we don't know too much about the Medusans, but it's a little,
Do you have a little time? Do you have to go? Can I ask you a question about the Medusans since you're fresh?
Go
ask on the Medusan thing.
Leave.
I like that you changed it because in the episode I haven't seen it again yet in my rewatches. But in the episode you mentioned they said they're so hideous that they make people crazy. But I like that you described that they're so, how did you put it?
I said unorthodox.
Unorthodox. I preferred that.
I like that
description over hideous.
I was, because I write my scripts.
Beauty is, in fact, in the eye of the beholder.
It is, and so I wrote my scripts. I write my script, and while writing the script, I felt very almost mean or uneasy, saying, "Oh, this creature is so hideous." I'm like, but who are we to judge? We humans that can barely see anything, in the light spectrum or whatever. So I was like, and then, you're taking screenshots of what the Medusan actually looks like, and it looks like 50 different spots of light. It has a million different appearances that...
It probably has a effect on where it makes you see something so hideous.
Perhaps. I decided to use the term unorthodox, so I made a point of saying that. Yeah, it makes more sense, I think.
But it is something about their physical appearance that makes you even go into that state. It's extraordinary what a Medusan is. I can't wait to see what they do with the Medusan character.
I think there's going to be a lot of comedy with that specific character.
And like you said in your video, we might get a planet officially, because right now people... somewhere from the Apocrypha, there's that the planet's like Venus, a gaseous planet or something like that. I thought that was neat that they swirl around probably in the atmosphere.
That was in a Star Trek novel, so it's not canon as such, but also, and okay, we gotta go, but here's the thing. I often talk about which version of the original series is canon. Is it the remastered? Is it the original? And people, some people will tell me, well, both or only the remastered counts. Does it really matter? Are the changes that big? Well, in the episode where we see the Medusan, in the original episode, the Enterprise drops the Medusan off at the planet. But in the remastered episode, they entirely removed the planet and they replaced it with a ship.
That's very curious.
So they never went to the planet. They only met a Medusan starship in the remastered.
And before it was their home planet or
and before planet? Before I don't remember specifically. But
was there dialogue? Is there dialogue? I guess about in the episode. I have to watch it. So that'll be something to look forward to listening to.
But it's interesting because then what is canon? Did they go to a planet? Did they go to a ship? Does the ship count officially as a canon Medusan ship? Because it's the remastered. Anyway, that's why I want a precise list.
You're watching Loki, right?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the most recent one.
You're the timekeepers. You're trying to keep the sacred timeline.
Oh yeah, I'm the lizard.
I'm going to prune this version. All right. That was very cool. We'll talk offline, Toddy, but I am looking forward to doing a stream with you guys for Spaceballs.
I've never seen this.
Oh my
goodness!
Never seen
Spaceballs.
Okay, can I ask you? Sorry, I know we're still recording, but I have to ask you this because I think our audience might be interested because you do these cool videos on Absolute Bullshit True Greatness, which is your other channel, ABTG. Which kind of sounds cool. ABTG. ABTG.
It does, right?
Yeah,
You're
it's
getting
like
used to it now.
it's like it's cool. Maybe you need a jingle for it, like ABTG. It's like instead of ABC.
ABTG. You ain't got no alibi.
Anyways, on ABTG. So I think it's not fun when you are watching a movie for the first time on a watch along. I would want you to see it and then do a watch along.
So you don't want my first reactions?
No, I hate it because then I'm like, you should be paying, especially a movie that I like. I'm like, oh, you should be paying attention to it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I don't know. I have a feeling
maybe we should run a poll or ask Gary. We'll ask involved parties if I should watch it.
That's true.
Yeah,
but I'm curious. I didn't know that you don't mind because I did it with I did it for Mortal Kombat, and it was fun watching it. But I didn't pay attention to the movie while I was watching it.
I don't think it matters for Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna be very mean, but
it might not matter for Spaceballs. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. We'll talk about it, but you'll let me know. Either way, I'll be there.
It's like watching Justice League, not the Zack Snyder, but like the Joss Whedon Justice League for the first time on a live watch. It doesn't really matter if you've seen it.
The fun part of that watch along, where I know something you don't, is that I would have to keep you from. It would be fun to see you react to.
Well, yeah, you get to see my reactions.
Yeah, so that is the fun part.
We'll discuss it.
Yeah. So we shall discuss it. Anyways, now I'm gonna stop recording. Wait, actually, no, I have to give some shout outs. So thank you, audience, for tuning in. Can you stay for just like a minute for the shout out? Sorry. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. Quick shout out to the bunch that's usually on here. We're going back to live streams next week, so we're going back to it, and hopefully maybe Toddy can come along.
You're sick of me.
No, I love it. Actually, this is like, maybe we'll do some Starfleet Boy After Dark content if you have some evenings available. It might be fun. These 1 hour quick videos. And then the other shout out I want to give is to Earl Grey Trekkie. Go check out his channel. We do Doctor Who reviews, and speaking of watch-alongs, we do watch-alongs on his channel as well. Right now we're doing watch-alongs for Batman, and we just did Batman Begins, so the next is The Dark Knight Returns. So that's gonna be a fun one. And then also, of course, go check out Text Trek and Boat Wreck and Geek and Review and The Red Wall. I hope I got that right, Marcelo. You'll let me know. Anyways, that's it. Now I did all the shout-outs. So many
friends.
There's a lot. Oh, and Ruben. Oh my gosh, I just forgot Ruben.
Don't check out Ruben. He's a pain.
Yeah, Ruben's a pain. All right, go check out Ruben. All right, live long and prosper, friends. And we'll see you next time.